So when we started Interlock, we were all three in senior year of university. So we would go to university from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 2 p.m. to 1 a.m. every day. No weekends, nothing. We worked hard to make sure that we achieved what we had to achieve, and we still do that today. It's about hard work, but when you're passionate about the work you do, you don't complain, right?
Aviation Investment Launch Podcast.
Hello aviators and avgeeks, welcome to Aviation Investment Lounge, the place where we discuss the future of aviation, where we'll be the first one to discover initiatives and projects that will change the industry. Also, a great place to discover disruptive aviation startups, and where you will listen to brilliant minds, aviation legends, and the most inspiring entrepreneurs. I'm Federico Fernandez, and I've been working at the industry directly for about 8 years and dreaming about it for the last 40. I want to thank you all for the positive reviews and message that I've received for the first episodes. I'm really looking forward to improve the content and the podcast, so please keep sending your suggestions, comments, and critiques. All are welcome. We are living challenging times, probably times never lived before in aviation. Stuck at home, outside our country and our office, or surrounded with only bad news. That's why it's important to stick together and use anything at your reach to connect to your network safely. These podcasts or our webinars are a great example of it. From our side, we are increasing the frequency of the podcasts, not only to stream the news about COVID-19, but to share inspiring stories of organizations, leaders, and entrepreneurs that are working hard and dreaming about a better aviation for all. I'm privileged to belong to an amazing team that puts together JIAS, the world-leading platform for aviation investment. This is an unprecedented summit where global projects and investors meet and discuss the aviation of tomorrow. JIAS, or Global Investment in Aviation Summit, is an incredible initiative from the United Arab Emirates General Civil Aviation Authority, and basically it's the place to be, either if you are looking to invest or to get funding. It's at Global Investment in Aviation platform where we design the future of aviation. You can search for more information and more details and what happened in the last editions at www.jias.ae. At this episode, we will discover an innovative project, an inspiring team that imagined, designed, and delivered the airline meal tray of the future. Yes, a meal tray, where we are served our food when we fly. You may think that's just a humble meal tray, but these entrepreneurs revamped the concept, delivering a sustainable option, cost-effective, and with digital capacities. It just took them a couple of years from the ignition idea until being in the process of starting production of 18 million of these food trays to be used at 400 aircraft serving millions of meals in potential deal with 4 airlines. So, how did it happen? We are going to meet Yad, Maria, and RIJAL, founding partners of the concept. I hope that you feel as empowered and inspired as I did when recording this podcast.
Aviation Investment Launch Podcast.
Okay, I'm here with Yad, Maria, and RIJAL. Is it right? Yes. RIJAL. Thank you guys for coming. As it's been a long time, I wanted very much to speak about the concept and all the path that you've been through, this idea to make you closer and closer to going global. So Yad, I'm gonna start with you, and I'm gonna start for the cheesy things. Yeah. How did you get here? Tell us a little bit about Yad to us first, before speaking about concept.
Sure. First and foremost, thanks a lot, Federico, for featuring us in your podcast. We're excited to be part of it. So a bit about me, Sri Lankan by origin, born and brought up in Dubai. Spent 3 years in India as well. I literally got here, I think, with a bit of luck. Went to Emirates Aviation University. That wasn't really my university plan. I met my co-founder there, Mohammed RIJAL, and also met Maria through being in university in Dubai. It's been stumbling luck, thinking a bit outside the box.
Which course did you take it in?
So I took BBA in Aviation Management at Emirates Aviation University. So I guess I had business in our company, so yeah, the courses definitely helped me to build our business. But yeah, it's been fun getting to this point, and we're just about to skyrocket. So yeah.
When did you think about aviation? I mean, you before that you lived aviation a little bit because you chose that specific course in aviation sector.
Yeah, but I think since I was like 6, I always wanted aviation. As every kid, I wanted to be a pilot. My parents said no. I think partly because it was too expensive, but they always said, you'd live away from your family, blah, blah, blah. I worked did an internship at Dubai airports for air traffic control, and that's what I wanted to do. But then I did a BB in aviation management to have a basic course, and then I was off to RIJAL to do my ATC. But that's when Interlock came along. We won Interlock, and I put my air traffic control life on hold and pursued starting our own aviation startup.
Because you wanted more management than going to operational side, yeah?
Yeah, basically.
There's more money in management, yeah?
And there's no risk right now, right? If my startup doesn't work out, I can always go do ATC. But I can't go do ATC when I had a golden opportunity to start my own startup with 2 of my really close friends.
Okay, Maria, now it's your turn. Let's hear a little bit about you.
So how I got here, actually, it's so I decided to skip the last year of school because I basically got bored of repeating the same subjects. I went into university and I studied interior design for 4 years. And so after that, I started doing an internship in a large corporate, an international corporate.
Here in Dubai?
Actually. Yes, in Dubai. And it was great, it was enjoyable, but it's not what I wanted to pursue for the rest of my life. And the way that the design industry was, there was more change and revolution that is supposed to happen. And I wanted to be part of that change, especially in the Middle East region, rather than diving into an industry, into the chaos and the amount of unsustainable mindsets that there is, and everyone's just covering it up with bills and meeting clients' requirements, but kind of forgetting about the whole essence of business and how it's supposed to impact and improve people's lifestyles rather than just make money.
Okay.
So having this opportunity as a startup, I think it's a great step to be able to make your own change rather than.
How did you guys met? I mean, you were studying in the same school, right?
So we were studying actually.
He was talking about aviations or trades.
So he was so RIJAL and Yad actually studied in an aviation university, in Emirates Aviation.
Yes.
I studied in American university. So my
design, right?
Exactly. I studied interior design, and my childhood friends were actually mutual friends in their university. So we ended up just meeting up at each other's friends' houses and stuff, and that's about it.
And who the idea from the concept? The first time that you heard about it as being a designer, I know these guys are much more practical and management.
Yeah.
So you are an interior designer, and somebody arrives next to you and say, "Listen, I've got this amazing idea for a tray for aircraft." And you said, "No, I want to make the world beautiful." How did they convince you to go?
Well, it was. I mean, I think I had a bit of an issue saying no at the beginning, to be honest. It was an opportunity for I honestly thought it was a university project and it would end within a couple of months. I did not know it's going to turn into a huge startup. Not yet, but of course I did have the opportunity to say no in the beginning because it was such a small thing, and I studied interior design, which is such on a bigger scale. But I think because I had that issue, I guess it's an advantage now of OCD and not being able to say no. I wanted to perfect other people's projects too, even though I didn't initiate them first. So I guess that led me to say yes, and it led into a startup.
Very good, very good. Maria, where are you from?
I'm originally Lebanese, and I was born in Canada. I've lived in 4 different countries, which is Canada, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, and Dubai. UAE.
I think I don't need to ask which one do you prefer. I think going back home.
I mean, anywhere with natural weather.
Natural weather. It's too hot here.
Yeah,
too hot. I hope it's not too hot for the trays, huh?
No.
RIJAL. Mohammed RIJAL.
Yeah, that's my
very, very, very cool. Tell us a little bit about you.
And thank you, first of all, for having
Welcome.
me and the concept. My name is Mohammed.
And you're the guy that works the hard in the team, because I always see the team on the events. I don't see you. You're always in the lab, yeah?
They left me behind. They just have to show their face.
We keep him in the lab.
But yeah, I'm from Indonesia. I've been here for around 19 years. 12 years in Abu Dhabi, and then I went to university in Emirates Aviation University. That's how I met Aviation. And I studied aeronautical engineering, and that was my passion since I was a kid. I was very curious on how a big chunky steel metal can fly. So I studied the whole theory about it for 4 years. And in our last year of university, that's how we all became very close. That's how we started the team, which is the concept. And that's how I met Maria. Actually, I met Maria from Yad, and yeah, that's how it is.
So your passion for aviation also started a long time, right?
Yes.
You wanted to understand how the beasts fly and how that they design it in such a way that they can fly. Tell me a little bit about I'm very curious about your relationship with Maria, because Maria, she's the design one. She wants everything so clean, beautiful, and you're the guy that, I cannot do this. This is not possible. Is it right?
Yes.
I mean, to be honest with you, we both actually want to do something very nice and very good, but we have the who's in the business where
yes, I can imagine. Doesn't make
The
sense. It will not
pricing
be
is too
profitable.
much.
The clients will not want. So,
but we work very closely because we have the chemistry between engineering and design. It adapts. So I always come to Maria how to how this organic design can fit into the tray tables or like the tray trolleys. And from my side, she asked me she loves sustainability, so she always asks me what is the best sustainable material for the tray or for a tray table, and we both try to get the best out of both design and material. And when it comes to he's like, it's too expensive, but we tried our best to sacrifice such, design-wise to reduce prices, reduce amount of material used, and that's how we work together closely.
For me, when I'm listening, and also for our listeners, it sounds like you have a dream team. Everybody's together. The guy wants to make money and have the ideas, the beautiful design and interface with the users, and the one who make it possible, for design. This is we're going to talk now about the product, the concept, the amazing startup that you are running, and the product that you are putting in place.
Sure.
But at the end, we will speak about a tray. But this can be much more than just a tray. You can see that this design can be applicable for many things, right?
Exactly. You want to go for it? Yeah.
Sure. So like you mentioned, we are starting. It's cheesy, but everyone says we're starting a revolution, and that's kind of what we aim to do in the aviation sphere. We're creating closed-loop sustainable products. We're starting with the tray, but what we want to let the viewers know and the public is we're starting with the tray, but we don't want to stop there. A tray is very small, but a small impact that a tray could make is massive. And we're taking the same technology, the same material thinking, the same design thinking, and the business philosophy behind of it, and using it for bigger products within the aviation sphere.
So, before starting, speaking about the startup itself, we're talking about the tray, and who is listening now speaking is just a tray, but you can save millions of dollars for a year for an airline with the design change that can be on the other side also very sustainable, spare the planet for so many bad things. And tell me a little bit more about just that perspective.
So some basic information is the way that the design and the weight saving characteristics, which is the magic and the sustainable material, we can save airlines per contract up to $2 to $3 million on fuel savings, on weight. We're also talking about the characteristics of recycling up to 31 million plastic water bottles to service an airline for a single contract. And these are just base figures. So not only are we saving airlines money, but we're also saving the planet. We're reducing carbon emissions. We make sure that our production falls in line with the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 12, which is responsible consumption and production. So it's even during producing, how do we use our facilities of production, like water? When water is used in production, we actually clean it, sanitize it, and reuse that water. So it's about all of our resources. Giving to an airline is important because they want to make more money, they want to reduce their costs. The aviation industry is not the best right now, but at the same time, we found the right technology, the right business algorithm to make sure that there's a balance between giving back to the environment and giving back to an airline.
Amazing. Now we have hopefully a million yads on the other side listening, say, okay, I also got a great team, I got an amazing idea. There's nothing to do with this one, but how did you start it? So you convinced all these guys. They were the perfect team, obviously. And then how did you start it?
So
you needed money, and what did you do?
Yeah, so we started it in the senior year of university. Most great startups start in a Silicon Valley garage. We started in Dubai Silicon Oasis in a little studio apartment. And it was Interlock, which was hosted by Emirates Airlines, GE, Donata, and Dubai Tourism. It was their first cohort, and they said, if you win, you get 50,000 dirhams. And the honest truth was, I went for the 50,000 dirhams. I was like, if we won, we're in senior year, we'll go to Bali, spend the money, and have a great time, right? So then we put a team together. We put RIJAL and myself. That's how we started, because business engineering, we're in the same university. And I knew Maria, and I said, me and RIJAL can't draw to save our life. Let's get a designer on board. Got Maria on board, and we started thinking of ideas. And we started thinking of common ideas like immigration, biometrics, and we all started thinking of different ideas. And that's when I thought, let's think of an idea that nobody's thinking about, because that's niche and that's a business that nobody's touching. And one of the biggest pain points for me, viewers, you can't see me right now, but I have a big stomach, and that's because I like to eat.
Yes.
And my biggest issue while flying was, during turbulence, my food would shake. When I'm watching a movie, I can't watch the movie and eat my food because my food's always shaking, so I'm watching my food. So I told Maria and Rijal, I said, let's look at the trace, because there's no innovation around trace. There's no technology, we don't know what material it is, and they shake around during turbulence. So Maria and Rijal, they said, you know what, let's try this out. They looked at the material. We understood the material hasn't been changed in 60 years. We understood there's a weight issue, and we understood it's just a train, it has no technology. So we put that idea together, we gave it to Interlock, to the Emirates group. They loved it. They put us in the top 20, and then we came out as the winners in the top 4. We got the 50,000 dirhams.
Did you went to Bali?
No.
Okay.
So we went to Maldives instead. We got to do a pilot with Emirates Airlines with our product on board the aircraft. So we flew from Dubai to Maldives, used this as an excuse to rest there for 2 days in a beautiful resort, and then fly back and do another pilot. That all happened by June 2017.
So this is how much the partners from Interlock are supportive. So they supported all the way through, not only just by mentoring, but also helping you to go and face the reality and place the product in action.
And they literally gave us access to Emirates flight catering, to VPs, SVPs. Even our first year, when the 3 of us graduated from Interlock in June 2017, we had just graduated from university with no savings, with nothing. Emirates Airlines kindly paid for our first year of our company registration at Dubai Silicon Oasis. And a few months from there, in December of 2017, we secured our pre-seed investment. And through that process, outside of just being part of Interlock, we've been part of some amazing other incubators like Shara, which is part of the Sharjah government. They funded us about $30,000 of grant at no equity. And right now we're looking to close our seed round for about $1 million. But
what do you find more difficult? I'm sorry, this is a question. I know that's for you. Where do you find it more difficult to get the money? If people who are listening to us are thinking, okay, where should I start? Where should I get the money? What do you think it's more challenging on that area?
So I think what's challenging is it depends on what industry you're in. If you're a software-based company and you're in the UAE or in the Middle East, it is kind of easy to get money. So we've been to WAMDA, we've been to Beko Capital, and they said, you have software, we'll invest into you guys because you have an investable team. But the minute you're a hardware startup, because the hardware, the ROI is a lot longer, right? The investment is 50-50. So for us, it was really not finding big investing or VC companies, but it was finding angels in the UAE that loved environment and sustainability, right? So for us, it was finding the right investor took us time, because it's not like there's a directory where you say, I need a sustainable investor, and that comes up. So it came through connections. It came through being part of events like the GIAS that you head, right? It's being part of those kind of conferences where you put yourself out, people are there to watch, industrial people within aviation are there to watch, and then they end up connecting you. Like I told you, it was through GIS that we met our distributor, right?
Yeah.
Orvec, because we put ourselves out in big platforms where people are watching.
So it's important to show off.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
important to, even if people will say you need to show off, and you need to...
And that's why for me and Rijal, we're extremely blessed that we have Maria, because for a very long time, we didn't even have prototypes. We couldn't afford anything. But what we could afford is really nice, fancy presentations.
Yes.
You put that fancy presentation in front of 200, 300 delegates from aviation, rich VCs. They know, okay, they might not have the product in front of them, but they have the team to execute that.
Yes.
So it's, yes, in a weird way, it is showing off. It's showing off your capability, but showing off your team. Because remember, investors and people don't invest in the product, they invest in your team.
Yes, it's one of the things that I've on this last year, after the first edition of JIAS, I had the time to sit down with a lot of non-traditional investors into aviation sector, because we are trying to push them into aviation. And but I asked them all the same 5 questions, and the first one is what will make you decide to invest in a company? And the first thing that they always say, no matter which company they are or which sector they are, they say the guy that is in front of me. So if you manage to sell yourself and the team, then you will see, okay, is he able to go through rough times, and then the project.
Because at the end of the day, the investor, they're investing to get their money back.
Yes.
So if they put their money in, you fail your first project. If you believe in the team, they'll turn that money around in your second project or a third project. Whereas if you're investing into a project, if that failed and the team is no good, then your money is down the hole. You know what I'm saying?
So we know that you all started with no money. Did you had those things, kind of Bill Gates? Working all night. Steve Jobs was saying working all night.
100%. So when we started Interlock, we were all 3 in senior year of university. So we would go to university from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 2 p.m. to 1 a.m. every day. No weekends, nothing. We worked hard to make sure that we achieved what we had to achieve, and we still do that today. It's about hard work, but when you're passionate about the work you do, you don't complain, right? Weeks off, even really busy seasons, but taking it off means that we're able to recharge ourselves, because entrepreneurs are not there to be dogs and to kill yourselves, to hustle too much, but you've got to have a good balance.
A balance. Can you pass to Maria? Is it right what you're saying? Do you think that there is a balance, or is it hard? Tell me as a design perspective, because you are creating your babies, and everybody's saying, be fast, work faster. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know where to start with that. So I don't want to show off about design or elevate it too much in front of other majors. I understand that everything has its own hustle. But when it comes to design, I can always explain it to people like this. It takes much longer to Photoshop something than to type something on Microsoft Word and to work it out. I'm not saying this to kind of, lower other people, but when you design something, you need to take your time, because whatever visuals that you're producing, you're feeding customers. Or if you're giving it to a client, this is exactly what you'll be feeding them, whether it's information, it's visual, it's infographics, to convince them to sell your product to them. So it's not easy. So just to give you an example, when I sit and work on something on Photoshop or on specific softwares or renderings or 3D modeling, that takes me at least maybe 8 to 10 hours minimum per thing that I want to produce. And for something else, for example, if Yad and Rijal wanted to do some work, it will take them a couple of hours each day, which is just normal, I think, for any person. But when it comes to design, because it's very time consuming, you need a break. And I start to like kind of shift my vision if I just work overload, and you just start to lose yourself if you don't take a break.
I got the impression from your work and your first presentation that you had a very high quality product, even without seeing the product.
Yes.
Is that have to do with design? Is that what Yad was saying? Is very important, very big important piece of the project.
So how I see it is definitely yes. Of course, I completely agree with the rest of the team always that the business and the pricing, the business model and the engineering and how it works is very important, because without that you cannot execute a project and you cannot make it work. But at the end of the day, design is just as important as anything else, because that's exactly how you are selling something, and however you sell it, that's how your client will give it to its customers. And basically, we all know happy customers, you'll make a lot of profit. So that's the kind of hierarchy that design has. So we might be in the back room working on something so hard, but when the business person comes and presents it to the client or to the airline, let's say in this case, it's good enough for the airline to say, yes, this is exactly what we want to provide our customers because we want to differentiate ourselves. But all of this differentiation comes with a lot of sweat and hard work from the design team, because I think everything these days is so much on the internet. You can find things on Pinterest, you can copy paste things. So it's not easy to differentiate yourself, and everyone these days is copying each other because of Instagram and how they're inspired and everything. Not much is original anymore. So
do you think that people catch that originality very fast if they think that something is original?
So it depends. If their mind is towards business pricing and everything, that's okay. They'll catch the pricing first, and then they'll follow on to see how the product looks like or the service is, and that's okay because that's understandable. But certain people, I think, if they look at something, and a lot of people have told us this about our presentations, is that your style is so clean, or it's very understandable. I get exactly what you're doing, and it just looks good. And for almost now, it's been 2 to 3 years of us prototyping and designing through our presentations, and we still don't have a pre-production unit. It's actually coming out next month. But within those 2 to 3 years, we've been able to communicate to people exactly what the product is, exactly how it looks like, and through its customizations through our presentation. So that's exactly, our product is basically represented through our presentation, and so is our team and our qualities.
Very good. Rijal, I'm gonna ask you, and these are very difficult times for aeronautic engineers, because before you just needed to push something that really flown, and it was very cost effective, and now all this thing of customer experience, so you need to add a lot of a new chapter to a lot of details. How did it work with this tray?
Of course, like every product has its functionality and obvious designs that has to be there. Like for example, the tray has a specific mechanism where you can pull and push the tray within the trolley, and those are the things that Maria, of course, has to design to perfectly match whatever feature that they do. And for for us, for engineers that to create some products, of course we need to be compliant. Be compliant with all the certifications that airlines requirements, right? So my biggest challenges as an engineer in the company is to abide with those certifications. So it's hard for me. That's why I'm always behind the scene trying to find the right material to have the right requirements for the airlines. For example, some recycled material, in today's market, recycled material are not food graded, and which most airline wants to have the best sustainable factor in their vision on it. And it's hard for us to have those types of material to find to abide with those certifications, right? So for me, it's for us to have the best material is really difficult, especially when it comes to pricing, to balance with that, it's hard.
Very good. I will finish with you, Yad. Thank you guys for your time, Maria and Rijal. Yad, where will this stop?
Where will this stop? If you split it by all three of our heads, I'll tell you it'll stop when I have enough money.
Yeah.
To take the company, to a massive valuation, because I'm business minded. From Maria's perspective, it'll be when we're able to, probably say 99.9% of all aviation cabin is filled with only recycled and sustainable closed loop solution material. And for RIJAL, it will be when we can select the best materials that have, the 50-50 on pricing, on sustainability, and weight saving. But I really think for us, we're just starting. We're a 2-year-old startup where, we've just signed up our distributor that opens about 20 airlines around the world. Our first product goes out in the next 2-3 months, which we're super excited about. But yeah, we're not stopping anytime soon. We've got some offers on an exit plan, for our next round. But for the time being, we're the three of us are going to stay huddled in together and keep the startup going until we can disrupt as much as the aviation industry. So at least 10 years before we are selling or seeing any acquisitions.
Very good. Congratulations to you all for your amazing project.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for this podcast. And many success to you. You don't need it. You're a dream team. You're going to make it.
Hey, thank you very much for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Aviation Investment Launch Podcast.